In this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the things that you can really focus on when you apply for your study permit to really increase your chances of getting abroad. I'm going to talk about 3 things that you absolutely need to spend night and day to focus on these points. You know, one of the reasons why people get a lot of refusals is they major on the minor and minor on the major, which means the area that they're supposed to spend the most amount of time in, they just do it, which, you know, just few minutes and then that's all. So if you're very familiar with what is called the PARETO principle or the 80-20 rule, which states that about 80% of consequences or problems has about 20% causes, right? So which means about 80% of the rejections is caused by 20% of things that you do and do wrongly. And if you want to get approval, you know, there are 20% of things that you do that will really increase your chances of getting approval. So what are those 3 things? Number 1 thing is going to be your study plan. This is one of the most important things that you cannot overlook. So what exactly is study plan? Study plan basically means progression, okay? Progression in your career, progression in what you're studying. And there are a lot of facets in this, okay? Study progression doesn't mean you have done the bachelor's, now you must now do a master's, or you have done a master's, you must now do a PhD. No, it's about what you're doing. And I've explained this a couple of times before. If you did your bachelor's in civil engineering, and for some reason you've been working in the business sector for about 5 to 7 years now, career progression for you is not going to be to apply for a master's in engineering per se. It's going to be maybe something related to business, project management, business analysis. Depends on your role. If you apply for something like that, it's easy, and you can make a very strong case in your letter of explanation to the visa officers to say, well, this program is going to be very beneficial for me. Let's say you're doing an international business where you do importation and all of those things. And now you apply for a global business management program. Even though your first degree was in biochemistry, it doesn't matter. Okay. Now in this case, even though you go apply for a diploma in global business management or a postgraduate diploma, it doesn't really matter. It's going to make sense at this point in time, because they're going to say, okay, this person has been doing engineering, been doing this business for a while now, they want to apply for something. It kind of makes sense, right? Unless you've been in the nursing field for about 5-6 years now, you want, oh, I really want to specialize in paramedics. So even though it's a diploma program, you can make that argument, okay? So it doesn't mean you must do a master's. And if you've graduated a long time ago, maybe because of study gap, and you're thinking, what should I really do? Just think about what you are doing now. In the last 5 years, that is the best way to determine what is going to be the best option for you. If you just graduate from the university, okay, so the best career progression for you is going to be something complementing your previous degree. Before you even think about visa application at all, don't just apply based on this is what is available. Apply based on what you can defend, what you can have documents for, okay? Then apply for that. So if you could really focus on this is among the 20% of things that help you to get approval, so that you can really help yourself to justify. Now, I always tell people, you have to be very logical. Think about you as a visa officer, and let's say someone studied medical laboratory science and they've been teaching for more than 15 years. Now they are saying they want to go do masters in medical laboratory science or a diploma in medical laboratory. How are you going to justify that? It's going to be tough. It doesn't mean that you can't change career, okay? So if you are a business and you want to switch to nursing, you can make a very strong case, okay? You can make a very strong case. you have to write a very detailed, maybe study plan to say, okay, maybe outside of your letter of explanation, you can write a very detailed study plan to explain why you are transitioning. So it's also possible, but this has to be taken very, very seriously in terms of explaining. If not, it's not going to be convincing to. So I'm not telling you not to switch or not to change career. It's very possible. What I advise you, if you're planning to switch or change career, one of the things you can start doing is to start gathering certificates. If you've been in the business area, then you want to go to nursing, why not start by doing a 6 months, diploma, a 6 months training in patient care? Do another internship if you can. Anything volunteering in a health related area, such that when you say you are transitioning, it's easy to say, well, I've been doing all of those things for the past couple of weeks or months. Now I want to finally get a degree in that. You can see how the story is all blending. That is number one. The number two is going to be a letter of explanation. To me, this is one of the most important documents because there is no interview as far as Canada visa or study permit application is concerned. So your letter of explanation is your chance to really explain. Think about it as an interview. The visa officer is facing you and they are asking you, okay, which program are you applying for? You can say, okay, I've gotten admission to apply. I'm talking about letter of explanation now. You first start by talking about the program that you are applying for, your start date and everything. Then they can ask you okay, tell me a little bit about your background. You can say, I have a bachelor's degree in this. I'm currently working as a production officer. Now I've gotten admission to study quality and manufacturing management as a diploma program. And that's going to be second paragraph or so. Person going to ask you, so, but why among all the countries, why did you choose Canada? Then you can say, I chose Canada because maybe multiculturalism, or Canada is there's friendliness of the environment, the value international student, all of those points. Okay, now tell me about why did you choose this program? It's not just, well, I like this program. I like this program, that's why I'm applying for. That is not going to fly. You're going to say, I applied for this program because of the importance it's going to do or help me in my career. I've been working in the human resources area now for about 3-4 years. I have a bachelor's degree in the sciences, but I've been having a lot of deficiency in really, performing optimally in this human resources because I don't really have a degree. So I felt that this is the right time for me to go get a diploma in human resources or a master's of human resources, to enable me to be very competitive in the workplace, and all of this explanation, the visa officer will be like, okay, that's interesting. So don't just say, well, it's the rainy thing now, it's the high demand thing now, so I really like it, that's what I'm applying. That's not going to fly. And then the next question will be, okay, how do you intend to sponsor your funds, your education in Canada? You see the psychology I'm using now. You're using the psychology of an interviewer. Like the visa officer is interviewing you, and then you're planning to you're explaining everything. You can go by, well, I've actually paid my tuition deposit of $2,500, and I have a personal saving in my account that is equivalent to 40,000 Canadian dollars. This is going to cover my tuition of $10,700 per year, and it's also going to cover my $10,000 of cost of living. In addition to my own funds, my other brother is also acting as a co-sponsor. He is currently working as a project manager in this. I'm just giving that. Please don't copy what I'm saying. I'm just being realistic. I'm just giving an example. My brother is currently working as a project manager, or my brother is the CEO of this company. He's also decided to act as a co-sponsor in my journey, and he has provided his bank statement, worth about 25 or 30,000 Canadian dollars. And he has assured me that he's going to support me to the best of his ability. He has attached his affidavit of sponsorship and his letter of employment, his pay slip, and all of this in the proof of funds section. You see how it is making sense? Okay, maybe the person that might ask you, what about if something happens, or do you readily have access to these funds? You can say these funds are available available to you. That's the reason why it is. I don't advise people to use a business account, because anything can happen on a business account, right? You may not have access to it as at when needed. So personal accounts are usually the best information. And then I'm still talking about letter of explanation now. The person is now going to ask you, okay, how can you convince me that you're going to return home after the completion of your program? And then this is where you bring out your creative imagination, okay? And think about, okay, I've been working in this company for about 5 years now as a supervisor, and getting a degree in management now is going to help me to pursue a higher position as a manager in this company. I've already had conversations with the company, and they've given me some assurance that when I come back, there is going to be a promotion given to me to the position of a manager. In addition to that, I'm also going to be exploring other companies and applying for some managerial positions. And if you can also say, I've been given a study leave by this company because I'm going to come back, and then you see how the story is all blending. Then the person can ask you, do you have any family ties that will definitely bring you back to Canada, bring you back to your home country? This is where you also bring in your creative imagination. If you did not apply with your family, you can say, well, the first thing is going to be my family. My family is back in my home country, so I can't leave them. I can't stay in Canada upon graduation. I have to go back to go and meet them. You can also talk about your business, right? If you have landed properties, you can also mention that. You can mention if you have any volunteering that you're doing in your community. You can also mention that. You can say, okay, with all of these, I have so much commitment in my home country that I'm not going to stay in Canada upon graduation. You see how you are interacting, but you're not doing interview. This is just you, writing something down in your letter of explanation. And at the end of the day, the person might ask you, okay, what are some of the supporting documents that you added to this application? That's what you now write in the last part of the letter of explanation that, well, I've added my police report, credentials, educational credentials, my transcript, my employment letter, and all of these different things. Depends on your scenario. That is letter of explanation. So you have to put a lot of time really writing this. And usually, some people write 1.5 page, some write 1.5, some write 2 pages, some write 2.5, some write 3. I would say don't try not to go above 3, because you don't want a situation whereby it gets so long that the people or the visa officer are not going to miss the most important point of it. So make it very brief and go straight to the point. The third thing is going to be the proof of fund. Oh my goodness. I've seen a lot of rejections during this week. People reached out to me and said, Peter, my application was rejected. And I asked the person, what was the reason? Proof of funds. You don't have a non-financial asset. So how do I even go about this? I've done a lot of videos on proof of funds. And one of the first things you have to do is to calculate what is even the minimum required. Usually, if you're doing a 1-year program, you can do a 1 year of tuition plus $10,000 if you're going alone. If you are doing a 2 years program, if you can get a 2 years of tuition, that would be fantastic. But if you can get 1 year plus one year of tuition plus 1 year of cost of living, which is 10,000, that is also fine. Okay, but with how things are these days, if you can get 2 years of tuition, that is going to be more beneficial to you. Okay, if you're doing PhD, most likely you're going to get scholarship. If you get scholarship, providing proof of fund is kind of optional. Okay. But if I would advise you to still provide something, because these guys sometimes they do things unpredictable. I've seen a lot of people with full funding that the application was rejected because of funds and all that. So even though you have scholarship, make sure you add something to your application in terms of funds. It can be your father, your mother, just letting them provide their bank statement and their letter of sponsorship. Now, what are some of the documents that you need to show in terms of proof of fund? It depends on a lot of factors. Depends on who is sponsoring you. If you're sponsoring yourself and you're employed, you provide your employment introduction letter, which is the letter to show that you're currently working in the company. If you have pay stubs, letter to some of these documents to show how much you're paying you, that's going to be fantastic. If you have your own company, your corporate affairs registration is a good thing to show, and maybe a letter of introduction from your business with the business letterhead is also going to be good. If you have any tax clearance certificates and all that, that is also going to be good. And if you have a banner for your business, poster and all that, that may also be, you just want to be able to convince them that this thing is real. Okay, that's one of the things. If you have a banner or whatever, you can also use that. If your parents are sponsoring you, or your brother or your sister, they have to provide their bank statement. They have to write maybe a letter of sponsorship. If they can do an affidavit of sponsorship, that would be good. They have to show a letter of introduction where they are working, or maybe a letter of introduction if they own a business. They also have the corporate affairs registration and all that. So the most important thing is that letter of sponsorship that is signed by them, affidavit, their bank statement, and then any other work related, maybe their ID card and something like that. So those are some of the things that you need for proof of funds. So don't just put a lot of money in terms of lump sum into your account at once. That is going to be red flag. Okay, so you have to take your time to save, right? Take your time to save, for this purpose. It might take you 6 months to save for this purpose. That's fine. If your family want to sponsor you, they want to plan this thing for about 6 months so they can have sufficient funds to show to be able to sponsor you, that is fine. Another question people ask, can maybe aunt or uncles or in-laws sponsor me? Yeah, that's possible. If you can establish a connection birth certificate, that is also fine. Family friend, not the best option. A friend, not the best option. Business account, not the best option. Personal account is always going to be the best, okay? And if you're in a country where you can send your bank statement digitally, maybe my bank statement, that would also be good. It does help the visa officers to quickly confirm that this particular bank statement is genuine and that it actually came from the bank. That is what my bank statement actually does. So put a lot of emphasis on these three: the study plan, taking a lot of time to write a very detailed, convincing letter of explanation, and the document that they're going to be showing for proof of funds. It's not just to have the money. If you have any big sum in your account, you can also try to explain that in your letter of explanation. If you have some money from sales of land or car or other properties, add the receipt of those particular things that you sold in your application, and then do a little bit of explanation. Another thing you can also do in your letter of explanation, have a tabular form where you summarize, this is the amount that I have in my local currency, this is the equivalent in dollars, in Canadian dollars. This is how much my dad is showing, my mom that is showing, myself, I'm showing. If you are sponsoring yourself, this is how much I'm showing, and then these are my expenses: tuition, and then cost of living for myself. If you're adding family, cost of living for the first dependent, second dependent, and then third dependent, who once you can do that, you are on your way. It's going to help them to have a picture exactly of what you're showing in the letter of explanation, and then it helps them to provide proof of funds. So that's going to be it. You can merge two banks together if you want, and then as far as it's your name on it, then that is fine. Focus on these 3 points, and you should have higher chances of getting approval. So that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, why not consider hitting that like button, and also subscribe if you haven't, so that whenever new videos are released, you'll be the first person to get notified of my videos. So once again, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. My name is Peter Sisele. Cheers.